Subscribe to Books on Toast or our next guest will be Hardik Pandya. So guys, Storytel, our favorite audiobooks app, now also has ebooks. So basically for 299 rupees a month, you can not only listen to an unlimited amount of books, you can also read an unlimited amount of books. It's like a bookstore, but for the cost of one book, you can read every book that's inside the bookstore. I mean, bye-bye social life, bye-bye human needs. This is the best deal I'm ever going to get. So you know what? Just call me Sue Storm because I'm about to become the invisible girl. So one of the books in Storytel's collection is the book called Pachinko by a Korean-American author named Min Jin Lee. And it's a book that has been on my reading list for a really long time. And after I saw it on Storytel, I was just like, okay, my resolution for this year has been to read books in English written by non-American and non-British authors. And okay, she's Korean-American, but this book is set entirely, almost entirely in Japan. And it's about the Korean migratory experience in Japan. So you know what, this counts, okay? It counts, it counts. What is Pachinko about? Well, Pachinko is about a Korean family that migrates to Japan just before the Second World War. So historically, Korea was colonized by Japan, and as a result of that, there was a significant migration of Koreans from Korea to Japan, who lived through World War II in Japan itself, and then sort of got assimilated into Japanese culture, but not quite, as we will find out as we speak more about the book. Basically, it's an intergenerational drama set against the backdrop of conflict and poverty. Everything I like. The lead character, the main character, even though Pachinko has a lot of characters, the main character whose journey we follow throughout is a girl named Sunja, whose mother runs a boarding house in a fishing village called Yeongdo, which is just off Busan in South Korea. She falls in love with a man named Ko Han-soo, who is sort of shady and becomes pregnant with his child. So the rest of the story is about her son, whose name is Noah, and his younger brother, whose name is Mozasu, and what happens to them after they migrate to Japan. What I like about it, Pachinko is a really easy read. It's very fast-paced and very well-written. Time moves forward in leaps and bounds, and the characters are very complex and compelling enough to keep us completely invested. I was also, until I picked up this book, completely in the dark about the history of and the relationship between Korea and Japan. I had no insight into that culture, and this book introduced me to it. Not only did it introduce me to it, but it also gave me a very nuanced view of what it was like for Koreans to grow up in Japan. And it wasn't easy. They were constantly discriminated against. They were constantly bullied and marginalized, and they had to work at pachinko parlors, which is also the name of the book. And a pachinko parlor is sort of like a gambling institution where the Japanese and Koreans, irrespective of their ethnicity, go to as a form of recreation. However, pachinko parlors are traditionally run by Koreans, and that's because they didn't have very many options when they were looking for jobs in post-war Japan. All of these things, when you look at them from the eyes of a great cast of characters as they experience it, and what she tries to do really well is she tries to maintain a balance. There is no overall vilification of the Japanese or the Koreans. What she tries to do is she tries to build individual people and tell their stories and leaves the judgment of their lives upon us. And I mean, ultimately, there are good and bad. You know, there is good and bad in all of us, and there are good Koreans and bad Koreans and good Japanese and bad Japanese, just like anywhere else. Had I read this as a non-fiction book that traced the same history, I wouldn't have liked it, and I wouldn't have learned as much as I do now by reading this book. It also sent me down a lot of Wikipedia spirals where I just Googled the history, Googled the stories, Googled all the big main names of that era, and tried to understand as much as I could what happened to Korea and Japan in the 20th century before and after all the war. What I didn't like about Pachinko, if I have to be nitpicky, then I thought the prose wasn't very literary per se. Like it wasn't, there were no real portions in the book that I wanted to sit with a highlighter and highlight and be like, oh, kya khoobsurti hai, kya jazbaat hai. That didn't happen. But you know what, I didn't really miss it. The story was so powerful and the world that I was in was so powerful that it didn't really matter. It could have been shorter, maybe a few stories were unnecessary, but you know what, when a book is good, then the longer it is, the better it is. Read this book if you, like me, are also tired of America as a backdrop for literary English novels and just want to learn about different cultures but obviously don't know the languages. This book is actually a really, really great introduction to Korea and Koreans living in Japan, and even Japan to a large extent, because when you look at Murakami, I think you get only one perspective of Japan, but this book for me added a lot more depth to that, to my Japanese perception. Don't read this book if intergenerational drama is not your thing and you'd much rather pick up non-fiction which gives you facts without diluting them with fiction. You'll like this book if you like Born Shadows by Kamila Shamsie. In fact, this book reminded me a lot of Born Shadows. If you like Amy Tan's Kitchen God's Wife, if you like Ken Follett's historical fiction, particularly his World War series. The first book is called Fall of Giants. All of those books, if you like fast-paced, fast-moving time, multiple cast of characters, intergenerational, simple truths delivered in the most straightforward way possible, and lots of history, then you will love Pachinko. I give this book 4 Anuya heads. Pew, 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 pew. Thank you for watching this video. Share this video so that more people learn about this glorious book. Comment in the comment section. Tell me if you liked it, if you hated it, if you haven't read it yet, why you want to read it, any other book that you think I should review. And also subscribe to Books on Toes, because what the hell are you doing with your life?